So a slightly different view today, mostly because we're going to be focusing on styling our application, and we're going to be using TailwindCSS, mostly because it'll allow us to write CSS without having to write a CSS file, and that's really why I'm attracted to it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do is let's actually start our server. And that should open up a new tab with our application. Wow, that's ugly. To set up Tailwind, we'll first have to install Tailwind. So that'll be yarn add TailwindCSS. Right, after it's installed, all we have to do now is to initialize. Oh wait, no, we have to first make a generic style sheet. So I'll just put it at the root of our file, so at that level. And we're just going to do styles.css. And in styles.css, we're going to use a special selector from Tailwind. And we want to import the base, components, and utilities. I don't know if we need the spaces in between, but I'm going to add it just in case. So npx tailwind build styles.css and output to source. I'm going to overwrite our index.css. And what that command does is we're writing all the default Tailwind styles into index.css. So if we go to our application, you'll notice that everything it looks pretty now. Kind of, not really. There's like no styles on anything. But our index CSS is now written by all of the Tailwind styles. The base here is just normalized CSS. And then we go down, we'll get all the utility classes from Tailwind. There's components is things that we can't customize, but I'm not going to go into that right now. And then utilities is going to be every other possible CSS styles. So in addition to styling everything, we're going to also break it up into smaller component size pieces, just so it'll be easier to work with. And for that, I'm just going to create all the files right now. So, where am I? Alright. New window, and let's see, we have the tip calculator as the main container, and we're just going to break it up into two pieces, the calculator part and the result part. So source, components, tip, result, tsx, and source, component. Our container is called tip calculator, so I think we should just call it something like tip input. Alright, and we're going to work inside of these two files right here. So I'm going to open up both of them. And we're also going to need this. And I'm going to hide this so we can have some space. Let's actually do that. So this should be enough space for us to work with. So our tip calculator is going to be a little different. Let's say we put this into our results and then this huge chunk into our inputs. So yeah, let's do that right now. I'm just gonna
export const
All right, and then we're gonna add our tip input up here. So that's just a quick little amount of refactoring. We moved all of the code above the button to a tip input, and all the code after the button into a tip result. Speaking of which, we could now remove all these unused code in here. Oh, I guess we keep the dispatch. And we can get rid of these as well. So that's... Alright, now we can get to styling. So first we're going to style the container around our tip calculator. So let's add a class name and then the following CSS. So I'm thinking we do a little bit of padding all around. This is padding 2. I'm going to do, let's actually think responsive. So on a small device, I'll have padding or margin top of 0. On medium devices, we'll do 8, and large is going to be 16. And then the same thing for width. So with full for mobile devices, let's do 4/5 for medium, and for larger devices, we'll just make it half the screen. And I'm just going to add a border so that we can take a look at it. So I forgot to do one thing. So let's actually we need to give it margin auto to center it. So let's look at this. So on a large screen, it'll look like this. If we go into inspect, this is going to be a smaller screen. And then if we go to a tablet, it'll take 4/5. So that's about what I want it to look like. Let's go back. And that is way too small. And then while we're here, well, first I'm going to get rid of this border. And while we're here, we're going to also, what the hell? Do style the button. And where is the button? Oh, it's this thing right here. Okay. Do text center first. Which you don't really see, but that's fine. Text 3XL. Border. There's our button. And let's do rounded large. Alright, let's just see rounded first. We'll get the rounded button feeling. And that's why I put large, because it's kind of not too noticeable. Let's also let's see. I did everything right. That should be correct. Let's give it a background color. And I chose gray 800 with full. There we go. That's what I wanted. And then let's also make the text white so we can see it. It's already uppercase, but let's add that just in case. And let's add some shadow. And there's our giant reset button. Alright. I mean, I do like the way that looks. So let's now go into our tip input and style this thing. All right. If you didn't see, I also added the selectors from uselector and all the change events from our markup from before, just in case you didn't see that. So let's tip input's the top one, right? So the outermost container, I want a border on it, and I also want it to be rounded. Let's do large. And let's do margin bottom of 2 so we get some spacing. There. All right. With full padding of 4. Let's see what that looks like. That looks cool. I'm cool with that. All right. So actually, let's change this to a div. So we don't have to add any CSS. It'll just be block level. So we'll go down like that. And all we're gonna do here is do text teal 400. Yeah. I did something wrong, didn't I? Yeah, let's try and make that show up. So let's have a background color here of gray to match our button. Alright, we're getting somewhere. And the input is going to be full, also gray, and we'll make it big. So it'll look like that. And then we're going to do the same for the tip percentage to match it. Let's get rid of this, that colon, because we don't need it anymore. Now it's on a new line. And this is going to be this, actually, since this is going to be the same as this, I'm just going to copy it. Beautiful. All right, now we're going to do the split. So the split is going to be yeah, the split's going to be like a little, stop it, little title for the split. So have it like that. Text center and text whites. So we have a little title for our split. We're gonna style the buttons the same. So I'm just gonna do a multi here. And this is gonna be let's do 1/3. So BG teal 400, text gray, text 2XL to make it a little bigger, and round off those buttons. Which is alright, except it's not really taking up the space that it wants, and that's why we're going to add another div here, which we're going to set to flex. So And that'll just add a little space that we need so that it's evenly spaced. And for the split value, I mean, that's fine. I think all I really want to do is just add a color to it. So text teal to match all the other green that we're using. I think the size is about right. Yeah, I'll keep it that way. And then finally, we'll style the result. So the results can be pretty similar to the top, except I wanted to pop out a little bit by having a separate color. So we're going to give it a contrast of being a, what's it called? Of a white background. So we just do border and then BG white, which is about right. I'm going to give it margin top 2 to match the spacing between the reset button. Yeah. And then we're just gonna do about the same amount of styles as the top, so it's gonna be the rounded large. I already did that, right? Yeah. Oh, the border color, never mind. Border gray 800. Full P2. What else was in the old one? Uppercase and shadow. Text teal, and then we're gonna give it this 600 instead of 400 to make it a little darker so it shows up. Yeah. Did I add this uppercase to the other one? Text input. I did not. I want it to be uppercase. There we go. Alright. Now, what else was the result? Alright. That looks fine for now. Except I want, so I want everything inside these divs to be flex, like split apart by justify. What's the CSS term? We want to justify between all the content in between. So I would do flex justify between, but oops. But before we do that, we need to wrap build total and then the total in separate tags, so that CSS will know what to. This is not working. Oh my god! All right. All right. This I can add another line. And we can also get rid of this colon. But what I was saying was that since we're using this as a flex box, and we want it to be evenly spaced, that's why we need to have them in separate elements. And we're gonna do the same thing for the last two. Alright, I also forgot that we probably should add the $sign here so that we actually know that these are number values. And then finally, just as one little improvement, I'm gonna have one more selector here. We're gonna get the split amount. Jesus. And we're just only gonna show per person if there is more than one person. So we'll just do split greater than 1 and what? Oh, I misspelled split. All right. So now we have a working application that actually looks pretty decent.